What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another classic WoW video. So today is potentially a pretty huge day as we have some news regarding Classic WoW, Classic Era, and Season of Mastery. This video will be specified towards Season of Mastery and the fact that Blizzard are shutting down the Season of Mastery servers, potentially hinting towards a brand new season being right around the corner, and today we're taking a look at what that season might look like based on previous developer interviews, and just taking a look at what Blizzard have been hinting towards themselves. Also, this is being taken down on February 14th, so right now you can still log into the servers, and I think you will still be able to log into the servers, but the Enter World button will be disabled. So basically, you will still have all of your characters, but you can't enter the world, so you can probably transfer them to Wrath, for example, as you can currently do, but the TLDR here is that these servers are going down. You won't be able to play on these servers, which, well, the season is officially over, and the brand new season might be right around the corner, coming up on the PTR very soon. Either way, let's take a look at exactly what Blizzard has said here, so let's get into it. Okay, so here we go. As the Season of Mastery WoW Classic experience approaches its end, we will disable the Enter World button for all Season of Mastery realms on or after February 14th, 2023. After that time, you will be unable to enter the game from the character selection screen. We intend to keep your Season of Mastery character list available for some time thereafter, so that you can initiate the free transfers from Season of Mastery realms to Classic Era or Wrath Classic realms. We do not yet know how long that access will continue to be available, but we will let you know once we do. We suggest that all Season of Mastery players initiate the free transfers for your characters as soon as possible. So basically, this is a blue post from November 2022, and it's now February 14th, and Blizzard just reposted this as well, February 13th, so this is still happening, right? The servers will no longer be available, or they will be, but you can't play the character, and you definitely want to make sure that you transfer these characters sooner rather than later, because eventually these servers will be shut down in preparation for a brand new season. And the fact that they're shutting this one down now, or they are no longer allowing people to enter the world, means that they are looking to make the new season happen. And based on that, I want to take a look at 3 previous developer interviews where they are hinting towards future seasons and talking about what that might look like. So first of all, a super short one, no Era realms for Burning Crusade Classic right now. So first of all, we might be looking to get some Era realms for Burning Crusade Classic. Maybe we even get like seasonal Burning Crusade Classic as well, might be happening. I don't think that will be happening now. In that case, I think they will go back to, for example, Classic WoW, and then give us a new season, for example, where we start in Classic WoW and expand that season into Burning Crusade as well, which I personally think would make sense. Either way, here we go. In regards to Classic Era, Tim Jones also clarified that Season of Mastery will not be the final season of Classic, meaning that we're getting future seasons, at least one more, because this is not the final one. The development team has experimented with ideas based on player feedback, such as no world buffs, updated raid encounters, and these are things the Classic team did deliver. Looking towards the future, the Classic team will be watching what players are asking for and looking to provide the best experience for Classic players. So, in this sentence, there's one thing I think is particularly very interesting. The Classic team will be watching what players are asking for and looking to provide the best experience for Classic players. If you go onto the Classic Era right now, what are people usually playing? Or what are the content creators usually making content about, streaming, and what do you see when you go into the Classic Era? Well, you see some people raid logging, but about 70% of the community are playing in the Classic Hardcore Challenge, as it's called. Maybe more than 70% as well. I'm generalizing a little bit here, but a lot of people are participating in the Hardcore community, or the Hardcore Challenge, which is basically an Iron Man challenge in Classic WoW, which means that if they are looking and asking for feedback, watching the players, and providing the best experience for Classic players based on what they want. I think there is a huge demand for the actual hardcore servers now, and we might even be looking at a season of Iron Man or a season of hardcore. It might be a season that's coming out with even more changes as well. It doesn't just have to be season of hardcore. They can, for example, do a season of mastery retake where they even put in even more challenges for raids, for example, give us harder dungeon, better loot and stuff like that, while also altering the leveling experience to actually give us, well, hardcore, basically, might be what they're looking to do, but this is like the simplest interview and the simplest answer here. But the fact that they're looking and watching what players are asking for gives me a lot of hope for a future season. I think Season of Mastery in itself was pretty good. It was just lacking a little bit in some vital aspects, and personally, as a gold farmer, I feel like they maybe did a little bit too much to make people raid log instead of being outside farming, because they increased the availability of pretty much everything. Black Lotus, herbs, mining veins, pretty much everything you got in the open world were a lot more accessible in Season of Mastery, which could be a good thing if you just want to raid log, but I personally feel if you just want to raid log, there's already versions of the game where that is a thing, and personally I feel like vanilla is where the open world matters. It is the world of Warcraft, and having reasons to not just be in instance content is a huge part of what makes vanilla so great. Either way, that's a lot of me chatting. Let's check out interview number 2, which is with Brian Birmingham. Now this one could be a big one, so let's take a look here. What Season of Mastery changes were considered but did not make it to live? And basically right here they said they were looking at things like retail mythic affixes, such as volcanic, for example, which is basically it erupts volcanoes around you, dealing massive amounts of damage and knocking you up in the air. That is the basic TLDR, or pause the video right here and read it for yourself. For the updated version of Molten Cores, they were looking at an affix for the entire raid, which they did not go through with, but the fact they're looking at affixes means that this is something they can implement into both raids and dungeons in a Season of Mastery 2 or the brand new season, which would make sense in especially Molten Core, but like if you're looking at dungeon affixes as well, it would make sense to just take some of the retail affixes, which they already have, and put them into, well, Classic. You also have the fact that they put in a lot of changes to Molten Core that I think were great, and all of the raiding changes in Season of Mastery I personally think were great, and if they can just expand upon that theory, they can make the raids even more difficult. But in this case, give us better loot. Give us better loot and more loot as well, and also make it so that people don't have to just spam out to rank 14 in PvP. Just do something about the whole gearing process, if you ask me. Okay, going back, what would you have changed about Classic if you could have? This one could be important for what a future season or Classic Plus or anything about the future of Classic would look like. So somewhat not surprising, it was mostly a technical answer, but it did confirm many community suspicions about the client changing and new bugs reappearing that had been fixed for over a year. Brian explained that one of the major changes would have been to not fork the Classic client from retail too much. When Blizzard applied patch 1.14 to the Classic era PTR, it was theorized that this meant that Classic Fresh was coming. In reality, Blizzard was updating the entire client for Classic to a more modern version, similar to retail and Burning Crusade Classic. This way it would be easier for them to implement changes across all 3 versions, and it just makes it easier for Blizzard to implement more changes and faster, more reactive changes to, well, the live version of the game. How far is the Classic team willing to go for changes in Season of Mastery? This is an interview, by the way, with Josh right here in the Countdown to Classic podcast. Definitely recommend checking that one out. You can find it on YouTube and also everywhere else you listen to podcasts. Really good podcast, and Josh asks really great questions. So how far are they willing to go? Right here, Brian stated that the Blizzard team doesn't necessarily want to make drastic changes, but they have the ability and the permission to do so if they have to. Brian further explains that the team's goal is to plan far enough ahead so that they won't have to make drastic changes to correct an issue. Now this one right here, they can make drastic changes if they have to, both to the servers and the game itself, so for example hardcore servers, not out of the question. Using one example, Brian brings up how players are asking for class changes. Blizzard decided not to do that because Blizzard wanted to make the raids challenging, and if you wanted to play something like Moonkin but don't believe it is good, you shouldn't play it. Brian further goes on further to say how if you really wanted to play Moonkin, there are other places to play that specialization, such as Burning Crusade or even retail. Now this whole sentence right here, everything marked in blue, to me kind of indicates that they don't want to make any class changes for vanilla or classic vanilla or any seasons at all, so maybe there won't be any class changes, highly unlikely at least based on this one thing right here. But yeah, that's it for that interview right there. You can see a little bit about what's going on at least, and most likely no class changes, and they can make massive changes if they have to and if it makes sense. Okay, so lastly we have one more interview that I personally want to take a look at. So who is the target demographic for Season of Mastery? I think this one is really important because that way we learn more about who plays the game and who Blizzard are targeting with these seasons. Knowing your player base is key to knowing like what type of changes you want to make, so this question is a huge one. Most of the biggest vanilla fans that played on private servers do like world buffs and are what are often referred to as dad gamers that aren't necessarily looking for sweaty difficult raids. So here's the answer. We talked about this a lot leading up to Season of Mastery, and there were actually two different groups with one thing in common, that they liked Classic but had criticisms about our initial no changes release. The first group was a vocal one. During all of our raid releases, following Classic's initial release, they would ask for us to disable, disallow, or delay world buffs on the current raid. In essence, they were chasing an authentic experience rather than an authentic set of rules. 15 years ago, most raid groups did not stack world buffs for raids, and this group of players remembered that experience and wanted to relive it. We can skip this one. The second group were players who enjoyed the sense of exploration in Classic, but after playing for a few early levels, quit the game and didn't come back. I know quite a few players in this category, so definitely there's quite a few people here. They are less vocal, so we had to work a bit harder and dig for that feedback. We asked around to find some people in that category, and they generally expressed a feeling that it felt like it took too long to level, and they were getting left behind. Now, they did come out with a couple of experience boosters in Season of Mastery, and personally I think they were great, but I think they should have been even better. Give us more experience overall, or even more questing experience, just make leveling even faster, because even in Season of Mastery, leveling up is a huge commitment. So if they are specifically targeting this exact type of group, they should make leveling even faster than it was in Season of Mastery. But these two groups really, they really clash with one another, because one group probably wants to keep the game as much as possible as it was back in the day, or they want to relive the old experience that they remember. The second group wants to level up fast and don't get left behind. Two very, very different groups that both enjoy the game. They just want a somewhat different experience, and targeting both could be difficult. Now right here, they also talked about the classic hardcore community, or what they referred to as the Iron Man community, to try the game. We were excited by this group of players who had long asked for an in-game way to verify the fact that they had never died, and one of the challenges in other versions of the game is that we weren't always tracking deaths on characters in those other environments. The start of a new set of servers for the season gave us an opportunity to guarantee that we had all their deaths tracked. That's been a little bit of a mixed bag for our other groups. It's been pretty exciting to see that group take on the challenge, and their excitement at being recognized has been fun for us to see. So, they have recognized the hardcore community, which is great, and personally, they say here, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag for our other groups, and personally, I would love to see a season of mastery, or whatever you want to call it, a season number 2, where we get hardcore servers, but that shouldn't be the only thing. Make a brand new season focused on other changes, but also give us like hardcore servers on that brand new season as well. I think it would be great to start it out as a seasonal thing and see how people respond to it. Personally, I feel like Season of Mastery fell short in 2 ways. Number 1, the open world didn't really feel that alive like it used to back in the day after people hit max level, because eventually all you had to do once you were max level and geared out to like pre-raid abyss, you just had to raid log. You got way more materials by farming in the open world, and there were way less people logged on 24/7 or logged on for longer durations of time, because instead of doing stuff in the open world, all you would do were raid log. And I think personally they should redo what they did when it came to the availability of both herbs and mining veins, and also Black Lotus. Keep the world like it used to be, expand even further upon raids, give us even more challenging raids, more loot from raids as well, and do something about the PvP ranking system. And as well as doing all of that, I would love to see hardcore servers, official hardcore servers, but I don't think that should be their focus. They have to draw in a different audience with these seasons, and they have to improve the game in one way, shape or form, but I would love to see hardcore servers on the side as a side thing inside this season, if or when it comes out. I think the new season is probably right around the corner. Blizzard already knows a little bit about what they want to do, but either way, let me know what you would like the new season to be about in the comment section down below, because at the end of the day, I currently have no idea. There's so many different ways they can do this. Like, one thing I've said myself is that I can see seasons going 3 ways right now. Number 1, only Iron Man season, like Season of Iron Man or whatever, where they focus on having no death, so people just have to play the game super carefully. We also have Season of raids, for example, making even more challenging raids and just specifying on raid difficulty, also giving people the appropriate amount of loot from raids as well. And I would love to see a season of PvP where we have rated battlegrounds inside a classic environment instead of the current ranking system where you have to basically quit your job, divorce your wife and spend 24 hours inside the game PvPing in Arathi Basin or Altdrach Valley. And those are the 3 main seasons that I can see happening. But once again, please let me know what you think will happen in the comment section down below, and also what you want to happen in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, kind of a news update on the Classic Era servers or the Season of Mastery server, yeah, give the video a thumbs up. I'll definitely be covering more about Classic Era and the future season once we know more on this channel too, so make sure to subscribe for those updates. Either way, it's been a long video. If you made it till the end, thank you very much for listening, and as always, I'll see you again very soon.